Uh-oh!
Hello guys, and welcome to part 2 of my first Unity game. It has been a while, but we're back guys. So now let's just get started where we left off. So the first thing I did was creating more enemies. And the fact that we need more enemies means that we actually should make the game create our enemies. And it is by creating an enemy spawner, which will spawn enemies everywhere on the map. The next thing that the game needs is actually a bigger map. So I just made it slightly bigger. And also, we need to make sure that the enemies know their ways around the map. And here you can see the map is bigger, and also the enemies are being spawned, and they can also find their way to the player, which is perfect. I also made the health bar, which shows how much health you have left. And yeah, I also gave it some colors, which makes it look more like a health bar. Another thing that would look nice is actually a score that keeps track of how many enemies you've killed, and this is how it looks in the game. So now we've got health and score and enemies spawning everywhere. Wait, what is this?
Here comes a new challenger!
Exactly, so we need another enemy. And the other enemy should be different from the previous enemy that we have. The previous enemy explodes within a range of our player. And when it explodes, it damages our player. However, what I want with the next enemy is to actually make it similar to our player. So let's just copy and paste. Exactly, and now we have an enemy. The problem right now is that the enemy doesn't do anything. And that is because it has the same code as our player. And that is not good, so we should actually write some code to make the enemy act on its own. So let's just get to it. What will happen with this enemy is that it will follow our player, and when it reaches a specific range it will start shooting our player, and it will get the exact position of our player and shoot the projectile at it. Currently there is an issue, and that is that the enemy looks just like the character, which is not good, so we should just change something. And to make it feel just unique, let's just change the color. And voila! Now it looks like an enemy. So something that was a bit problematic is actually shooting projectiles for the enemy and for our player, where our player actually shoots it very fast, because the faster you actually click your mouse, the faster you shoot projectile, and that shouldn't be happening. So the same thing actually showed with our enemy, where it shooted a lot of projectiles. And the problem arises because when we make our enemy shoot, we do not limit the amount of bullets that is shooted. That's why it will be shooting per frame, and that is very problematic. So my computer runs, for example, at 60 frames per second. That will give the enemy 60 projectiles per second. Other devices also has more or less than 60 frames per second, which will make it different for each device, and that should not happen. So I did some code, and now it works just fine. So now we have the basic stuff, and the only thing that we need is actually just more weapons. So more weapons means that the game will have a feeling of life, because it has different weapons. And the weapon that I was thinking about is actually the M14. So let's just take this picture and modify it to make it look like it's ours. Exactly. So now you're asking, where's our M14? Well, you cannot use the M14 yet, because you need to switch from the pistol. And the problem is, we cannot switch from a pistol to M14. So what we need to do is to actually create a class which will make it possible to switch between weapons. So we have a pistol and we have an M14. But for some reason, it doesn't seem like it's enough. So I've decided to add a grenade launcher to the game. So I did the same thing as in the M14 section. And that is, copy the image, make it look like it's mine in Photoshop, and add it to the game. And also, let's just give it a special bullet, which will be a grenade. And as you guys know, a grenade is very powerful and will affect a lot of enemies. And that is good, because you will face a lot of enemies in the upcoming sections of the game. So as we know, the grenade should actually affect all the enemies around a specific range. So that's why I've done different fix. There is a way in Unity that you can actually specify a range and get all the objects in a specific range. And then you can actually check if they are enemies, and then just inflict damage on them. And yeah, that should solve our problem with the grenade. So the final part that I need work on is to actually make this feel like a game, and that is by making it progress. A thought that came up to my mind is to actually make it hard each time you kill 10 enemies or more enemies. So whenever you kill 10 or more enemies, you will get a harder time actually fight enemies. So the enemies will be spawned faster, and also after 100 kills, the enemies will start to be stronger and also will tolerate more bullets from you. So that actually makes the game feel more like a progressive game and not only a prototype. So now I'm just gonna leave you with some gameplay, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.